Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Rockstar 101. His name is Brandon. He is the DJ.
His name is Shim. He is the Rockstar. Class is in session. And I think today, on this episode of Rockstar 101, we're going to have to help some people out with music recommendations, because I went over to the rock subreddit and it seemed like a lot of people, at least 3 different postings of people asking, hey, I kind of like this band, or I kind of like that sound. Could you recommend something else for me? So I want to kind of go down this path of what would you recommend? And then there's another question that I have that I stole from Reddit as well. But can you think of anything, Shim, off the top of your head, of a lesser known band that maybe not a lot of people know of that you would immediately say, yeah, you need to check them out?
There's a million bands. They're all from Australia. I mean, I've mentioned so many bands that are Australian that you guys don't know of over there. Everything in terms of Silverchair after, well, I mean, like the last 2 Silverchair records were amazing. Have you ever heard of Diorama?
I've heard of the name, yes.
This is Diorama. This is so funny. Diorama is my #1 album of all time. All time. If you put me on a deserted island for the rest of my life and I had to pick an album, it'd be Diorama.
Oh, the album Diorama.
The album Diorama by the band
Oh, I
Silverchair.
thought you were talking about a band. I thought there was a band named Diorama.
No. There is a band called Silverchair, had an album called Diorama. It's an Australian classic, and it's very Beach Boys-y, strings and orchestras and crazy harmonies, and it's one of those sorts of records. It's my #1 album of all time. You want an amazing piece of music, go and listen to Diorama. For anyone who is just that, I mean, we don't even need to talk until you go and listen to Diorama. There's a bunch of other Australian bands I can put you in front of, but Silverchair's at the top, so you may as well just go and check that out. That's the #1. That's a no-brainer, and I'm shocked that so many people don't know about that record. Because the reason that no one knows about that record is because after they made it, the lead singer got sick with reactive arthritis, which basically crippled him for about a couple of years, and he couldn't go on tour, so the album just tanked because they couldn't tour it. But it was like, they had a 3-album deal. They fulfilled all 3 albums. It was the first time they made their own album on their own label, and they put it out, and they had all the money from the last 3 albums to do it, and they spent like $1 million on this record. Orchestras, Van Dyke Parks, who did the Beach Boys stuff, orchestrated the strings, full artistic moment, and the whole thing went flat internationally because they couldn't go on tour. So that's why no one knows about it outside of Australia, but that's it. Go and check it out. Boom, done. Period.
Well, actually, I remember that album because I think the one that most people would remember from Silverchair would be Frog Stomp, right? Yes, that was kind of that's the one that really vaulted Silverchair to stardom, right?
That was the only one that was relevant. Freak Show was I know everything about Silverchair, by the way. You could ask me almost anything, especially for the first 3 albums.
Oh, I just had a brilliant idea. We need to do a Silverchair trivia game.
Yeah, we could totally do that. We could totally do that. Okay. I would crush 80
I'm making a note of that for later.
80 to 90% of that I would probably crush. I think it has to be the first 3 albums. If once you get into, or maybe Diorama, once you get into Young Modern, I'm really out of the loop on that because I was over in the States by then. But what was your first question? What the hell was I saying? Squirrel.
Well, we were talking about Frog Stomp. That was kind of the album for Silverchair that really vaulted them to stardom, and then you were kind of taking over from there, and you're just talking about Freak Show.
Freak Show was a follow-up that Frog Stomp apparently was released. I've read the biography. This is what I know from just what I've read. It was released at a very pivotal moment in the mid-90s when every major band was between albums. So they just got real lucky for about 6 months where Pearl Jam, Smashing Pumpkins, Red Hot Chili Peppers, every band was just between albums. It was the end of the summer. They'd finished the touring cycle, and Silverchair came out with Tomorrow. And radio was like, yeah, we need a bit of new stuff. And so suddenly Tomorrow was perfectly poised. So that song was what everyone played and what everyone knew. And then when it came time for Freak Show to come around, Silverchair was still a big band, but they released the wrong single first technically. They released a fucking ballad as the first single in the States, which was stupid. And then, sorry, straight up. And then they became a mid-level band after that. But they were well known as Nirvana in Pajamas with that Frog Stomp album. Everything after that was like, you had to be a Silverchair fan to follow them. They didn't, but then like Neon Ballroom had Anthem for the Year 2000, apparently, which was a massive hit over in the States for a minute. It was on MTV. And I remember the first time that I met Good Charlotte, we bonded
Wasn't Lane Staley on that?
Lane Staley on what?
Or am I thinking of something else?
You're thinking of something
Anthem
else.
for the Year 2000.
I don't think Lane Staley was on that.
I'm thinking of something. Go ahead. There's something else I'm thinking of that we'll follow down that
The
rabbit hole.
guitar player had a Neon Ballroom tattoo on his arm, and that was when I was like, "Oh, so you guys think that record is more relevant?" But like that was when I realized that Silverchair was still doing stuff over in the States. When Good Charlotte had Neon Ballroom, that album was important to a lot of people. It was very teen angst year 2000. That album was very dark, dude, very dark. Anyway, Silverchair, I can talk all day.
Yeah, the guys from Good Charlotte were always super cool, man. Did I ever tell you the story about Good Charlotte?
No, tell me.
They were one of those bands. So the first station that I ever worked for was a more alternative station. So it was a lot of that kind of pop, bubblegum, punk, things like Good Charlotte, Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous, stuff like that. And they were one of the bands. We through our concerts, one was called The Big Stink. That was the big show that we did during the summer. And then there was Little Stink that we put at a smaller venue with less people. And the one that I worked, it was headlined by Edema, which was, I think it's Mark Chavez is the lead singer. He's Jonathan Davis's half brother.
Okay.
You remember him?
No, but yes.
Sorry, I got to clear my throat.
Bless you.
Anyway, so Good Charlotte was there, and they would come in frequently. Huh?
Your microphone just became so much clearer. What did you do?
I just turned it down and turned it back up. That was it.
Something changed. Cool. Whatever.
Hey, all right. It's cool when things work out like that.
Go for it.
So, Good Charlotte would come in frequently. They were like friends of the show. They were friends of the shows that I worked on. They had no problem just coming and hanging out. And as we were at backstage, things were wrapping up. They had turned off the sound on Edema twice, and the lead singer started to throw a fit. He just they weren't sure what it was. Originally, when the sound went off, they thought that they blew power. Something happened, and you got to cycle the power, figure something out, and they'll go back on. So they did that. And they turned it back on. They were playing. We were breaking the sound ordinance, I guess. And at this one venue, it was technically like an amusement park. It's this small amusement park called Oaks Park in Portland. It's right on the river. And I guess we were breaking the sound ordinance because we were being too loud. Right. As Huey Lewis in the News told Marty McFly, "You're just too darn loud." Right. So they cut him off twice. And it got to the point where I remember I was standing backstage and he had walked. This was after he threw his microphone down like a child, just threw it on the ground. And so he walked back to the back of the stage. And I remember standing there looking at him, and he's kind of leaned over the railing and he goes, "I don't need to deal with this shit." And he just fucking left. And I can't remember if they finished their set or not. I think they coaxed him into coming back out to do a couple of songs, but that was it. So this thing kind of wrapped up early. So where most of the people had to park was way down the road. But as the road that they're walking down, you can see all of the backstage area. So everybody that's hanging out. And what happened was all of these girls who were big fans of Good Charlotte, I think Phoenix TX or MXPX or one of those X's was there. So these girls are like walking down this hill that they're not allowed to go down. I mean, it says, you're not allowed here, but there's no security up there. So they just start walking down. So, of course, they look at me, the angry-looking guy, and they were like, "Hey, Brandon, can you go tell them to turn back around and go back out up to the street?" And I can't remember who it was. It was it was Benji or Joel. And it might have been both of them. They both kind of like they put their arm on my back, and they go, "Hey, we'll go with you." And I'm like, "Get the fuck out of here. Like, you're not going to do this." And they did. So I'm walking. I've got both guys from Good Charlotte on each side. And as we're walking back up to the thing, the girls, obviously, they start freaking out because it's, Benji and Joel walking up to the road. And as we're going, they're signing stuff. They're hanging out. They're taking pictures. Like, they were just the coolest guys, man, because they had absolutely no problems taking the time to be like, "You know what? We know that they're not supposed to be down here," but rather than just yelling at them to go back up to the street with this angry looking dude, me. They were like, we'll go with him and we're going to walk him up and we'll sign their stuff and we'll go hang out.
Right.
Yeah. So they went all the way up to the street. And of course, it's just floods, hundreds and hundreds of people walking the street to go get to their cars. And people are stopping and they're still, signing stuff. I think they were there for like an hour.
Yeah.
Easy. Just hanging out, taking pictures and signing stuff. And it kind of, it helped prevent a bigger situation of people running down the grass. And they're kind of, headed it off at the pass up at the top of the street.
Right.
Which I thought was really cool of them, man.
Right. Yeah, they're definitely, they're heroes for walking with you and signing autographs.
Huh?
I'm just wondering
I thought it was really.
It is really cool. It is really cool. I just wonder how much of it was to help you out or to be just to sign autographs, because it's awesome to be in a position where you can sign autographs and take pictures of people and have them want to, take pictures with you. It's wonderful when people want to.
Oh, I guarantee 99% of it is
like
it's 99%. It's that.
Yeah, it's like we'll go with you, Brandon. Like, why don't you hang out with us while we sign autographs and take photos with our fans and do a public service?
But I guess
it's never been considered a public service before.
But see, the other thing is there's a lot of rock stars I know that would not do that.
I agree.
And especially having been around some of the other rock stars that day. Mark Chavez, the lead singer of Edema, at least to me, he was kind of cool. We had
Did you say he was difficult?
Somebody
cool?
who was a friend. He was cool with me.
Cool,
he was cool with me. He threw a fit because they kept cutting off his mic. I don't really blame him for it because they kept cutting off his microphone. But for the life of me, I can't remember the name of this other band that was there. And I had taken this kid that was maybe 10 years old because he was the son of like a friend of the show. And he was like, hey, can you get him backstage? Just meet some of the rock stars. Right. I was like, that's not a problem. So I snuck the kid backstage and I'm walking him around and I'm introducing him to like the guys from Good Charlotte and stuff like that. And they're kind of cool. And I remember introducing him to some of these other rock stars from these bands that were there, and they were just dicks. Like they did not want to be bothered. Get this fucking kid away from me. I'm just here to perform, and then I just want to leave, and I don't want to be around you people. Was the vibe that I got. So the fact that the dudes from Good Charlotte were willing to do that, it was a pretty big step in my book. I thought that was pretty cool.
They've always been exceptionally nice. Yeah, go ahead and turn your mic up and down again. You did something to change the sound again. Whatever you did last time made it sound better. I don't know what you did.
How's that? Is that any better?
It's the same. I don't know what you did. It's weird. But
I don't know.
They've always been very gracious and cool, and every time I've met them, they're just very chill. They're just painfully chill. They're just like working on songs and hanging out and watching videos on the phone and fucking just very normal. So yeah, no, they don't seem. But anyway, you were going to ask a Maynard question. I'm very interested in this Maynard Joe Rogan question.
Oh, so Maynard James Keenan was on the newest episode, or one of the newest episodes of the Joe Rogan Experience, and they got to talking about the new Pussifer album that's going to be released, I believe, on October 30th.
Is it Pussifer or Pussifer?
It's Pussifer.
Pussifer.
Or Pussifer. I don't know.
Pussifer.
Maybe it's either one of those.
I just wonder with Maynard being very whiny, it's Pussifer. Puce, not poo. Pussifer.
Maybe.
Or pus.
But Joe had asked him about a lot of, because some of the stuff is available for the new album, and he's talking about how many layers there are to it and how much stuff there is that's going on in this music. And Maynard had said that when it comes to the Pussifer albums, sometimes he'll just think of 3 random instruments, and then that's the beginning of the song. That's how they start writing the song, and then they go from there. And we're going to start with these 3, and then that's kind of how they start. And I was wondering if you've ever done anything similar, or if you are very more uniform when it comes to songwriting.
He does. Pussifer's with him and his wife, right? That's him and his wife. Is that correct, or is it not his wife?
Not 100% sure.
The reason that I ask is because when he says we write the song that way, it's definitely, it changes the dynamic, because sometimes if you're writing a song with another person, you don't want to go out of the box unless you really know them really well and you have a really deep dynamic and you're kind of out of ideas. I've found that any way that you can change up, it depends. If you haven't written a lot of songs, let me know. You're looking up if it's his wife.
I don't think it is his wife.
Okay.
I don't think is his wife a performer? I didn't think she was.
I just thought that she was. But
there's no information on him even being married.
Well, good. Keep his private life private.
No shit.
If you have not got a lot of experience writing songs, then you shouldn't be trying different instruments. You should really work on structure and regularity and repetitiveness and get songwriting down. Once you've got that down, you do that for a few years, and then once you find that you've played all the same chords a bunch of times and you've done all the same sort of changes in the melody, then you need to start changing things up. The first thing that I do is you literally just start. It's really easy to start on the same instrument and just go to 2 chords. You start with 2 chords that are chords you've never used, and it will take you somewhere totally different. Chords that you would never put together. This, like, normally you go A, B, C, D, or sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4 in terms of the chord structure. If you just go to Z and Q in terms of like different thought patterns, and then you've got this whole new thing to work with, that'll take you a different place. But one of the things that I want to start doing on the Hollywood Rebellion live streams is actually get people to send me instruments, like proper instruments, not knick-knacky little kids' toys that don't sound like real instruments, like a violin or a cello or a banjo or something weird and wacky, and go, cool, well, we've sent you this thing, you got to make some music with it now. Like, you got to finish a real song that is fully produced, that is written off this instrument, and it has to start with that instrument. And that's sort of the caveat of using that instrument. Caviar, shout there. So I think, did you remember that episode? You know what I'm talking about.
Did you just drop a Simpsons reference?
Yeah. I love that. It's all about the first 5 seasons for me. Shout there, yeah, it's shouter. So
I think for most people, it's all about the first 5 seasons. We were trying to watch the Treehouse of Horror episodes,
right?
And it gets to the point where they're not entertaining.
No, they're not.
You know,
they're not. There was so much social commentary and future projection comedy. Like, do you remember the episode where, this is a total fucking sidebar for a second, but do you remember the episode where they literally had an ad break? The family was watching TV, and then they say, coming up next, a craze that's sweeping the nation, wasting food. And it just shows a guy pouring out milk and throwing food in the bin. And we're like, oh, we do that maybe sometimes, but then you realize now you throw out so much food. Like, I'm shocked when I look at, you finish your dinner and there's food left on the plate, and if it's just a little bit of veggies left over, or like a half-eaten sausage and it's just this much, you just chuck it. You just don't think about it. You go, well, it's, you know, you go through a quick little thing of, well, can I save that? If I do, what am I going to make with it later? Fuck it, too hard, boom, in the bin. And you got an entire generation of people that are throwing out food, with an entire 2/3 of the world that are going hungry. And people were doing it 30 years ago when that episode came out. But they knew, like, there was actually an episode on Joe Rogan that talked about this. I think it was Joe Rogan, or it was something else, where they said that Matt Groening is a time traveler. They genuinely believe that he was doing that mental projection meditation thing where you go through time and you see the future, and he was like traveling to the future to write comedy that was prophetic. Have you heard this? Mm-hmm. Do you buy into this? Yeah,
I mean, it's really what it is. It's the Simpsons have incredibly intelligent writers. Right. They have a writing staff that is very in on kind of everything that's happening, and they're able to predict patterns, and they're able to kind of foresee things that are going to pop up. Like, remember, they predicted Trump becoming president. Like, that was something that they had. But when you're also on the air for 31 years,
is it the same writers?
Eventually. No. Like, you remember who was one of the original writers, or like in those early seasons? What made it really, really good?
Who?
Was Conan O'Brien.
Oh shit! I didn't know that. I did not know that.
One of the things that he talked about about writing about the Simpsons was they always tried to fit in the words "jub jub." So eventually they named the iguana. It was Patty and Selma's iguana. They named it Jub Jub. That was their own inside joke. That was just something that the writers wanted to do, and it just kind of turned into a thing, and that's how they got the name, and they landed on Jub Jub. But when it comes to the Simpsons predicting the future, I think it's just that they know how to – I mean, there's a lot of things that they have missed as well. But I just pulled up an article here that's on Business Insider.
Okay, hold on
these
one
are all
second.
the things that they were
before you get
able
into
to
that.
predict.
Your video is done. I got to call you back. If we do it, can we edit it back? Can we just chop it, or do you want to just roll with it? Because I got to call you back. You're so fuzzy, I can't even see you. So whatever we do, I got to.
That's fine.
Back.
Just call me back.
Okay,
we'll just roll with it, baby.
Okay,
No, we'll roll with it, baby.
We're rolling with it, and we're going back to boom. Don't fucking schedule. Just go boom. Okay, back to that. Back to this. Let's try it again.
Is this better?
That is significantly better. I don't know what the hell was going on before.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Well, that's good. That's what I like to hear.
Cool.
So let's power through this episode because we're kind of bouncing all over the place here. Because I do want to go back to some of those questions, but I do like that we kind of landed on this Simpsons thing because of some of the stuff that they have predicted. And a lot of it was early on. Season 2, they had the three-eyed fish, Blinky.
Yep.
That was a thing that ended up happening at a reservoir in Argentina because of pollution. And it was because the water was fed from a nuclear power plant.
Yeah.
Another one on here was the censorship of Michelangelo's David when they put pants on him because you don't want to see his wiener.
Right.
They talked about that season 2, episode 9.
Did that actually happen in real life?
This came true July 2016 when Russian campaigners voted on whether to clothe a copy of the Renaissance statue that had been set up in central St. Petersburg. There's one here, Letters to the Beatles, season 2, episode 18, where two Beatles fans from Essex received a reply from Paul McCartney to a letter and recording that they had sent 50 years ago. Because remember when Marge writes Ringo when she's a kid.
Yeah, yeah.
And then he finally gets back to her. So that was something that had also happened. They predicted the Siegfried and Roy Tiger attack. That happened in season 5, episode 10.
Yeah. That was bound to happen.
There's this scene where this was season 5, episode 18, where it's Lunch Lady Doris, and she's it just says assorted horse parts now with more testicles. And that's the food that they're serving the kids. And I remember her specifically saying, more testicles mean more iron. And that was apparently something that came up as well. So Jesus. I think it's something that it's just they have intelligent writers that are able to kind of it's satirical. You know what it is, you know, and it's some of the stuff isn't necessarily things that they even they came up on their own. You know what I mean?
Yeah. All right. So what was the next thing you wanted to talk about real quick?
Oh, so you're starting to answer the Maynard question there. Obviously if it's early on, you don't want to you want to focus on what you know and you want to get really good at that. But have you ever tried that? And you said that you're going to have people start sending in instruments.
I haven't tried it yet.
Is it going to be do you want to have it be instruments that you know? Do you want to have it be instruments that you'll need to learn?
Well, that's the thing. You don't really need to learn an instrument. You just need to learn how to get a few notes out of it. You don't need to learn how to play it proficiently. You just need to learn how to make something out of it that sounds like a layer, that sounds like a melody. Like, if someone sent me a violin, I would figure out how to play something on it that was, like, interesting. And then I would make a song out of it.
Well, but that's that's technically learning it.
Yeah,
you're not proficient in it. You're not an expert, but you're still technically learning it.
The thing that would be hard is it's not woodwinds are because I used to play a woodwind, so I could figure that out pretty quickly.
Woodwinds are clarinets and saxophones and stuff like that. Anything that uses a reed.
I know, but so flute is not a woodwind. It's a. I was going to say.
I thought it was a woodwind.
No, I don't think it is because it doesn't have a reed. That's what I was just thinking what you said. So whatever it is, that would be hard because it's not a woodwind.
I think I'm wrong.
I think I'm wrong. I think I'm wrong.
I think I'm wrong.
I think I'm ill-informed about this.
The flute's a woodwind. The woodwinds are like the oboe, the bassoon, saxophone. Going back to The Simpsons, remember when Lisa? Saxophone.
Dude, we could talk Simpsons all day.
The flute, the clarinet, and then you had the...
We have to do a Simpsons trivia episode.
Simpsons?
Simpsons trivia episode. Totally got to do a Simpsons trivia episode. That'll go gangbusters. When my internet connection isn't glitchy as fuck.
Let me make notes of this. My name is Professor Frank, and let me write down exactly all of these things that we're going to do. Cliven! All right.
What is Cliven? Okay, forget it. Yeah, so...
this is the thing that people aren't realizing here as they're listening to this episode. They're wondering, like, Jesus, these guys can't stay on a single topic. They're bouncing around all over the place.
We've been inside
what the hell is
for
going
a
on?
year. We've been inside.
First of all, I hope that it's still at least remotely entertaining to listen to. But second of all, Shim literally just woke up. We're doing this at like 7 a.m. his time. So he just woke up. So we're trying to kind of power through here. It's been a crazy day. It's been a busy day. We got a lot of things going on, a lot of bouncing around. So are you going to specifically request, like, hey, these are the instruments I would like, or is it just send whatever?
No, I think the concept is send whatever, because it will build my catalog of instruments. The only thing is going to be, it's got to be a legitimate instrument. You know, you can't send me toys like a Casio keyboard or whatever. Like a Casio keyboard maybe, but the problem is that I know what's going to happen. There's going to be a bunch of fans that are going to go, oh, here's this $40 piece of shit that I found on eBay that now you have to make a song with. And then I'm stuck with this thing, and eventually I'll accumulate all of this shitty gear that I'll have to throw out or resell or gift or whatever. Whereas like a real instrument can become part of the studio. They're effectively contributing to the studio, but the caveat is, yeah, I will make a song live on stream with this new instrument. So no, I'm not asking for anything specific. As long as it's real. It can be some Middle Eastern.
So Shim is basically saying spend a lot of money on him.
Yeah,
Shim is an expensive date. 100%. You need to spend at least $1,500.
I ain't coming up with this stuff. Okay, people are already spending a lot of money on the stream. You know why? Because the stream is dope. Because it is a dope music stream. So there's already.
So if I sent you a didgeridoo, you would put didgeridoo music in it? I already know how to play a didgeridoo. I could crush a didgeridoo song in a second. But it's got to be a real.
Do
you own one?
No, but it's got to be a real one.
Okay.
Like, go ahead. Like, as long as it's not like you go and get like one that's. But didgeridoos aren't that like a real didgeridoo is a couple of $100 minimum for like a proper one that's made out of wood that's carved and then the problem is that if you do get a didgeridoo, you're kind of ethically bound to buy a traditional one from an Aboriginal community because there are so many people that plagiarize and get didgeridoos from China and stuff like that. And being an Australian, it's a little bit tough. Like if you go and get one,
man, what the hell are you talking about? I found one on Amazon for $25.
Yep, there you go. But is it made in China?
I don't know. Let me see here.
I bet you a cotton dollar.
Hand-fired modern didgeridoo beeswax mouthpiece.
Beeswax mouthpiece.
Easy player, key of D. That's right, dude. I'll be giving you the D. I'm gonna send you the D.
It's got to be in the key of C. It has to be in the key of C.
Are you fucking with me?
No, I'm actually serious because my guitars are tuned to C. And
like that's like.
Yeah. Oh, here's the thing. You can transpose a guitar.
Excuse me. This is not. This is the key. I need the key of C.
Yeah, it's got to be in the key of C. Don't worry about it. You're not sending me a didgeridoo.
I'm thinking about it.
Don't send me a didgeridoo.
So okay, fine. Somebody send him a didgeridoo then.
Shut the fuck up.
One of our supporters, which I'm gonna give them a shout out right now. Our supporters, if you want to become a supporter of the podcast, go to anchor.fm/rockstar101. Victoria, Chevy, we still haven't figured out which one that one is. Veronica and Taryn.
I got a message. It is Chevy. Chevy like the car.
It's Chevy. Okay, cool. Well, congratulations. You're all supporters. We appreciate it. If you want to become a supporter, go to anchor.fm/rockstar101. All right. So we already talked about you getting so this is how we're going to kind of go all roundabout here on this episode, and this is how we're going to start to kind of wrap things up.
Right.
Because you talked about Silverchair, and interestingly enough, you highly recommend Diorama, the album. And the thing is that's interesting is that was the album that came out. That's the one that we played when I was in college, because I was in college radio from 01 to 03, and I remember I still had that album, and then I think I sold it back a few years ago.
Okay, what did you play?
You're going to say something. Oh,
did you play it on radio?
I don't remember. Yeah.
You played The Greatest View. It would have had to be that one, unless they've released One Way Mule as a single, but that song doesn't have a chorus.
No. See, here's the advantage of college radio is that they would send us the full-length CD,
right? And
we got to play whatever we wanted. We never had to play the single.
You can't remember what you played? You would have either You either played.
I want to say it was the lever. The lever.
The lever. You played the lever. That doesn't have a chorus.
That sounds familiar. That name sounds familiar, but I can't specifically remember if that's what we played. I wish I would have kept notes on all the stuff. Oh,
jeez.
What's that?
You're starting to crackle up a little bit. I don't know why my connection to you is so bad, man. I'm sorry. But we're getting close to wrap up time anyway. So do you want to run the socials before we do one last little comment?
Yeah, so real quick here, since things are starting to get crackly on us, if you want to check out Shim over on Twitch, go to twitch.tv/Hawk Hollywood Rebellion. You can also find him over on Facebook. It's just at Shim. He does have the blue check mark. You can also find him over on Twitter. It is at Shimmoore, SHIMMOORE. You can always find me over on Instagram or on Reddit at The Real Brandalorian. If you want to find me over there, you can always send us a message if you would like. You can DM me on Instagram or on Reddit if you have any questions, if you have any comments or anything about Rockstar 101, or if you have a topic that you would like us to discuss on Rockstar 101. You're more than welcome to do that. I also have to say that am I still fuzzy on your screen? How do I look? How's the beard look? Is the beard looking good?
It's looking great. It's looking extra fuzzy. It's looking so soft because that beard oil is just working a treat. It's so fuzzy and soft.
It's doing fantastic. If you have a beard, if you know somebody with a beard and you want to buy them a gift, go to The Beard Struggle. It's what I use. You got the oils, you've got your shampoos, your conditioners, all kinds of stuff to keep your beard nice and healthy. Go to Beard Struggle, and then at checkout, just use the promo code Brandalorian, and you'll get yourself a nice big old discount right there on your products. So again, The Beard Struggle, and use promo code The Brandalorian. The final thing I was going to bring up here, because we were talking about what is maybe a rock band that not a lot of people know about, or something that you would recommend, and that's where you immediately went to. First and foremost, you've got to listen to the album Diorama. That's the big one for you. That's something that people got to listen to. For myself, I think it's a band that doesn't get a lot of play from a lot of people, and it's called Mad Season. And Mad Season was a band that had it was Lane Staley, it was Mike McCready from Pearl Jam. It was kind of a super group. Yeah. And actually, let me try and find the actual band here. But what that reminded me of before that was when you were talking about, I think Silverchair covered a song, something about 1999.
No, it was Anthem for the Year 2000, and it wasn't a cover.
That's it. Anthem okay, that's what. Because what I was thinking of was how you had mentioned that there was it was a real brief group called Class of 99 that had Lane Staley in it.
Okay.
And this is who was in this band. It was Lane Staley on vocals, Stephen Perkins of Jane's Addiction on drums,
right.
Martin Lenoble from Porno for Pyros on the bass, Matt Serletic on keyboards, and Tom Morello on the guitars.
You're kidding. Jesus.
And this was one, I think I want to say they only really did one song, maybe. But they covered Another Brick in the Wall, and it was on the soundtrack to the movie The Faculty. Okay. That was the movie that was kind of like Invasion of the Body Snatchers. It had, Josh Hartnett was in it. He had the really super cool car. I think it was black with red racing stripes. It was badass.
Right.
And that's basically, I think Jon Stewart was in it. From The Daily Show. He played one of the teachers.
Right.
Highly underrated movie, by the way. It's a great movie, but that's what I was trying to figure out at the beginning of this podcast. When you'd mentioned that song by Silverchair, I was getting all that stuff kind of confused there at the end. But yes, there was a band called Class of 99 that had Lane Staley and Tom Morello in it. And I highly recommend checking out the cover that they did of Pink Floyd's Another Brick in the Wall.
Awesome. Sounds good. I'll have to check it out.
It says here on their Wikipedia page, before we wrap up, it says, contrary to rumors and popular belief, the 5 musicians collaborated solely to cover the songs for the film and did not create a band or intend on releasing other new material. So I think that was about it.
That's too bad. That would have been
because it would have been fucking amazing.
Yeah, that would have been
but yeah, so that was about it. But speaking of Lane Staley, Mad Season is the song or the band that I would highly, highly recommend for people to go check out, because it was Lane Staley, had Mike McCready in there as well from Pearl Jam, and he always had a really haunting voice anyway for Alice in Chains. It was just a very melodic, very dark sounding voice. Yeah. But Mad Season, he took it to a whole new level, man. And if I could recommend one song that they had done, it was Black Book of Fear.
Okay.
That song, it's incredibly haunting. It's something that I could not recommend enough. It's not a happy-go-lucky song. So if you're in a good mood, you want to stay in a good mood, if you're looking for something that's going to be kind of poppy, don't listen to that song. Right. It's really dark. It's really brooding. It's just that's the kind of song that it is. But Mad Season, that's something that I would I would highly recommend.
Excellent.
All right, so we're going to have coming up on future episodes. We're going to do that silver chair trivia. I'm going to start getting that together. I want to do that next episode.
Okay, cool.
And we're going to see just how much Shim knows. And then later on down the line, we're going to work on a Simpsons trivia episode as well.
We should, maybe that's a book club.
And then
we can't do that live on Twitch because people will give away the answers. We need to do it privately.
Well, you can, just don't look at it.
Maybe we should do that.
I mean, that's
live.
pretty much what we do.
We'll figure it out. Anyway.
We'll figure something out. But then the big thing that we're also working on is the book club. I think last episode, we decided we are going to do the Heroin Diaries. This is going to be the first book, and we're going to be shooting for the beginning of 2021, where we'll look at the book, we'll kind of see how long the chapters are, then we'll set...
the rest of the world is shooting for 2021 as well. It's like, I think I'm going to do a thing.
In general.
I'll do it next year.
General.
Anything that you're planning.
Everybody.
There's this thing I was... just wait till 2021.
Everybody is just waiting for 2021 is pretty much all that we're doing at this point.
Yep.
So, anyway, anything else you'd like to mention, Shim?
Nah, man. No, I'm happy. You got all the socials in there. That's what she said. And then that's it. All right. So in the meantime, thank you very much for your patronage. Thank you for watching Rockstar 101. His name is Brandon. He's the DJ.
His name is Shim. He is the Rockstar. Class dismissed.